ごめんね素直じゃなくて夢の中なら言える思考回路はショート寸前今すぐ会いたいよ泣きたくなるよなムライ電話もできないみんなだって純情どうしようハートは万華鏡月の光に導かれ何度も巡り合う星座の瞬き数え占う恋の行方同じ国に生まれたのミラクルロマンス信じているのミラクルロマンス
Hi guys, and welcome back to Moonie Thoughts. This is episode 2, and we are glad that you are joining us again, or joining us for the first time if you didn't see episode 1. My name is Katie. This is my co-host, hellenjane.
Hello.
And in case you were unaware, this is our podcast where we talk about everything Sailor Moon, from both animes, the manga, the musicals, merchandise, just everything. Alright, before we really get started today, I just want to address really quick that yes, episode 1 was temporarily removed due to a copyright claim because of our use of the La Soldier song. By the time this episode goes up, episode 1 will be back up, so it probably won't be an issue by then, but we just wanted to let everyone know that we are aware that it was inaccessible for a time. An edited version will be going up with La Soldier edited out. It kind of sucks because it's a really cool song, but the copyright holders wanted it taken down, so we can't really do anything about it.
Yeah, but for the ones who've seen it before it got taken down, thank you so much.
Yes.
We had nearly 60 views.
Yes, that was definitely more than I was expecting.
Yeah.
I did not think we would get that far in our first episode.
That's right. I was flabbergasted when I saw that count, because our goal is 30 views each time.
Yeah, that's what we're going to strive for. So we almost doubled that before it got blocked for the song.
Yeah.
So thank you guys so much for watching, for sharing it with your friends, and it's going to be back up. I mean, by the time you're listening to this, it'll already be there for you to, watch again, share with your Moonie friends. Thank you for your support on that. And for all of the comments, I understand that hellenjane has been getting a lot of feedback and comments from some of the places she's posted it.
That's right. We will get into the feedback a little later in this podcast. I won't say who said what, but all I can tell you is the comments that was shared. And just to make it clear right now, yes, everyone loves my accent, and yes, is unique to other viewers. So let's put it out there.
Yes, I think probably most of our viewers, or listeners, I guess, whatever you want to call them, we're probably mostly American, so hearing a Kiwi accent is always exciting for us.
Mm-hmm.
We're easy to please like that. Alright.
So since we've got all of that out of the way, let's actually get started.
Alright, the first major topics for this episode will be going over some things that we addressed in the first episode, which were some questions we had, some things we noticed. The first one being, hellenjane pointed out that they appeared to be going with a light platinum blonde for Queen Serenity's hair. But as of episode 6, that seems to have changed.
That's correct. It was the episode after we record the last podcast, by the way. It's always ironic or karma that you said one thing, then later on it would change.
Uh-huh.
So if it's official, Queen Serenity will stick with her hair that she had in the original anime, which is silver.
That silvery color, not like Usagi's blonde or a lighter blonde.
Yeah.
And we also noticed that so far, Luna had not interacted with Usagi's mom or dad or brother or anything. We got a little glimpse of their interactions in episode 6 when Zoisite is doing his broadcast.
Which is really, really interesting because I'm still waiting for Luna to attack Yusaki's mother for what she called her. But that's not happening. That's got cut out for some reason or another.
It looks like Luna will not have to face as many Baldy jokes this time around.
Nope.
But I thought it was kind of cute because what it showed was Usagi's mom was playing with a little cat toy with her while she watched Zoisite's broadcast. So I thought that was sweet.
Yeah. And another thing that we noticed when we were talking about the lunar base last time, about how I think by memory Mercury was the only one to enter it, as well as Luna. This is before everyone else entered into the lunar base.
Uh-huh.
Well, this time round, after Yusaki got the stick wand, or the moon stick, or whatever, they all entered it at the exact same time. This is before Sailor V was introduced.
Uh-huh.
So,
and that leads us into discussing the newest episodes and the developments and changes there. Like hellenjane said, one of the changes was a lot of episode 6 was sort of rearranged from how it played out in the manga. The general basic elements of the story are still the same, but there was a little bit of change, and I think I have my reasoning for thinking why they changed it. But the main thing being that in the manga, when Zoisite makes his broadcasts that brainwashes everyone into searching for the legendary silver crystal, Usagi is watching, and she is brainwashed, and she's digging through it. Luna finds her digging through drawers and everything, trying to find the crystal. Well, in Sailor Moon Crystal, she and all the other Senshi were being shown the base in the arcade while everyone else was going nuts trying to find the crystal. And something that I think is worth noting is that Usagi leaves and ends up being found by Tuxedo Mask because Luna gives her another warning that Tuxedo Mask might be the enemy, don't be fooled by him, which I think I will address that later on in my theory, but there was a few changes to the structure of events that were mostly not that big of a deal, but are kind of noteworthy if you've been noticing some things.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add?
With the Luna warning Yusaki, and the manga was completely different as well. It was something like, as you see before, that they were on the base, right? In the manga, it was when she was hypnotized and was searching through the drawers for the crystal. Because of that change, brought a whole different meaning to the act.
It made Usagi was more aware of what Luna was saying in the anime, because in the manga she was hypnotized. She was focused on something else, but she took it more personally in the anime because she realized what was happening. Now, in the original anime, the first run, right around when Jupiter showed up is where things really started to diverge from the manga. I mean, they'd already had the filler Monster of the Day episodes, but really, the episode where Makoto shows up in the original anime compared to the act where she shows up in Crystal or the manga is pretty different. There's some basic elements that are still there, but in the anime, the original one, that's where they introduce the whole concept of the rainbow crystals and the seven great yoma, and the first rainbow crystal appears, and that's where some end game plot points really start to diverge, which leads us into episode 7, and
doing a podcast.
The discovery of Sailor V. But even in episode 6, the fight at the Tokyo Tower was kind of different in all 3 versions. In the manga, Zoisite just kind of disappears before the Senshi can fight him. In Sailor Moon Crystal, they fight him and he defeats them, which leads for Sailor Moon to show up and defeat him in turn. But in the original anime, by the time they got to Tokyo Tower, things were way different. It was Usagi and Mamoru were going there together. That's when they first discovered that each other was Sailor Moon and Tuxedo Mask, as opposed to, Usagi only learning afterwards in his apartment and Mamoru having already known. So that's the part in the anime where a lot of stuff is starting to diverge, and mostly I think because of the whole seven great yoma rainbow crystal thing that they added in the anime.
And the thing at the point in the original anime, that's when the revealed happened about the Moon Princess.
Yes,
that's going to happen very shortly, and fingers crossed in the next few acts.
Yeah, it should be soon. I do not know the exact act that it happens in, but it'll be soon.
And also, when I saw the difference, this is between Crystal and the manga. The thing that I noticed that when Yusaki woke up in his apartment, in the manga, she was still in her sailor suit, in the Sailor Senshi suit.
Yes.
In the Crystal version, there was no indication if she deformed in his arms or in bed. She just woke up as her normal self.
She was still in her senshi fuku in the manga, but yeah, she was. By the time we caught up to her in the anime, she was already back in her civvies. But I remember the reveal to themselves was so much more dramatic in the anime, where she was like, "Oh, by the way, I'm Sailor Moon," and Mamoru was like, "No way!" But also, by the way, I'm Tuxedo Mask. And they made that little transformation animation for him. Remember where he throws the hat?
I remember the English version.
Yeah,
it was like, no way, he's not here. Oh, yes, I am. Brought out the rose. It can't be transformation. Here's Tuxedo Mask. I don't believe it. That was hilarious.
I remember that.
How it ended up as a robot kind of voice.
Yes. The English version's Tuxedo Mask castanet music. I remember that now. Yeah. It always, because I always kind of wondered about that when I was younger and watching, like, Sailor Moon gets this cool little dance she does and all the Sailor Scouts do, so Tuxedo Mask just, puts on a tuxedo and goes, but no, he got his own little transformation in the anime.
Wish that they carried that on throughout the the series following on. That would have been cool every time.
They totally shoot it out of the water in the manga and in Crystal, because you do see him just, laying around in half a tuxedo in his house when Usagi wakes up, and he's got his jacket laying all over the place. So yeah, he literally just takes the time to put on his nicely pressed tuxedo every time he goes out to steal jewels and save Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Yeah, I really liked that English episode.
I have not seen it in so long, but I remember it was when I had like 6 tapes that had, it had the first episode, one of the episodes where Usagi was on her own, and then the episode where each of the next 4 senshi shows up, and then like the last 3 or 4 episodes of the season, and that was one of the ones that was on there.
Yeah. So, between the both, it was English and the new ones, they still have kind of like this explanation about why Mamoru was looking for the silver crystal.
Yes, that seems to have stayed pretty consistent.
Yeah.
His parents died in a car crash. He lost his memory. He's trying to find it because of the dreams.
Yeah, and the difference that I saw of that is, in the original anime, they had the scene of showing the car crash, showing like where am I? The doctor's saying that Monomu, your parents died in a car crash or something like that, and you're the only survivor. It's like Mamoru, or in English is Darian. Is that my name? And I wish that they brought something like that back, so it intertwines, related, like connect to the original anime. They're saying that the classic is still there with just modern, like making it up to scratch, more to today's day and age. Like we talked about last podcast about the laptop that was updated from a computer, and the video to a floppy disk to a CD-ROM, and the VHS or video to a DVD.
Yeah, that was when you go into the Luna base, even the base, it was made to be very futuristic in the manga and the anime, but even now it looks, it's not the 90s concept of the future, it's the 2014 concept of the future.
Yeah,
so even it's more upgraded. The stairs are just those like hollow platforms, and I think it looks pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah, I actually really do. And those screens, it's like those screens. It's like it looks like has horns, or kind of like there's curls. There's the, but also trying to get aiming to the roof. That is really, really cool.
Yeah. A minor thing that I know, and it might just be my translation, because as I mentioned, I have the Kodansha reprints of the Sailor Moon manga, and I was reading it over, looking for stuff to talk about, and in my version of the manga, when the scouts are asked, the senshi, the sailor scouts are English version, the senshi is the Japanese version, but when the senshi are asking Luna, what exactly is the crystal? Who are we fighting? In Sailor Moon Crystal, she said it in the right hands it's powerful enough to blow up a world. Whereas in the manga, she says it's powerful enough to blow up a star. That's probably not anything really significant, but, considering how much more massive and generally dangerous stars are, it sort of gives a grander scale of power.
Yeah.
But that brings us into episode 7, where but also on the subject of technology, all of the VHS tapes became DVDs and Blu-ray, and when in the manga, when they are looking up information on Sailor V at school, they're in the courtyard, they're eating. In the manga, Amy has this very early 90s clunky laptop kind of thing where, it's huge and it has a tiny screen and this little keyboard, and it's very early 90s. In Sailor Moon Crystal, she's got an iPad. So that's another update. And it's Amy, so who's surprised that she gets newer tech, but that kind of amused me, that she went from having this, big black brick of a quote-unquote laptop to her little iPad.
And that was actually quite a nice touch, because these days it's more like smartphones, iPhones, tablets, iPads, touchable screen, laptops, and yes, they do exist now. Trust me, they do.
That I was kind of thinking, if they were updating the technology, the whole concept of needing communicators is almost kind of outdated, because everyone just has phones now. They could just text each other. But then I guess the whole point would be having a secure channel to talk on, so no one was, reading their text or tapping their phone lines or anything. But
yeah.
But still, I think part of the whole, communication, being able to reach anyone at any time thing, that was a very big part of the communicators in the manga and the original series, but that's not nearly as much of an issue now. The final confrontation between Zoisite. Once again, he didn't die like he was supposed to. In the manga, Sailor V kills him when she's defending Sailor Moon, but he's still going, just like Jadeite and Nephrite. Also, this ties back to what I was saying earlier. In the manga, at this point, you're pretty sure, when Usagi left Mamoru's apartment and he called her Usako, you're pretty sure, there's feelings there. They're into each other. In Crystal, he straight up says, you are my wish, Usagi, I want to be with you. That's it. That is the declaration. They are officially, it is known now. Which just sort of, and it's something we talked about in the last podcast too, they are moving the plot lines a lot faster. They're introducing things faster, they're making character connections faster, and this is, this whole, his firm declaration, I want Usako, it happens faster. It happens right then and there, instead of, a little bit more building after they remember who they are and stuff. So I think that my theory is that they're really trying to introduce more and more of, the Moon Kingdom story and the relationship story, maybe because they already know that a lot of people have watched the first anime and the manga and just sort of want to get through with things that they already know. But also because maybe they want to make some time at the end to fit in more stuff that they want to add in on their own. That's my theory.
Yeah, I think that is a very valid point. If you read the manga exact same time as watching it, you can not only compare, but you can see how much they brought in from the manga and pushing it way faster. Because if it was week by week, we would have been finished Crystal by now. Well, the first part of Crystal.
Yeah, that's they're pushing the story out faster. And the point I was making when I mentioned how Usagi running away from the base because Luna's warning her about Mamoru / Tuxedo Mask, is I think that was just contributing even more to the furthering, really making it obvious how they feel about each other and what's going to happen there. So they're moving. But as for the generals not dying, my theory there is, I mean, in the manga, they sort of come back anyway for a last final confrontation. I believe, actually. I'm not entirely sure on that, but I'm pretty sure they do. I guess it's not a theory, because I don't really think it's going to happen, but it would be really cool if it did. I'm kind of wondering if they're going to do something more with the fact that the Shitano and the Senshi were couples in their past life, and if they're going to sort of recognize that more than it has been in previous series.
Yeah. Because I definitely remember seeing that, reading that part of the manga, that because what was lying down was the remains, which was the clothes, the hair, and the skeletons. Even though you probably won't believe it, but it happened.
Yeah, they all died pretty gruesomely, really.
Yeah. Then the blast of light came and resurrected. And it was like from this gruesome, freaky Halloweenish. Yes, by the time this is out, it's past Halloween. So I had to say that.
Belated happy Halloween, everyone.
Yeah, happy later Halloween. Anyway, it's like for this ghoulish skeleton like thing back to full flesh and blood. That was kind of freaky when I first read it, but as time when I reread it all over again, it's like, wow.
I remember
that light is really strong. Even it revitalized some of the land that was dead.
Yeah.
But
it turned them from like gross zombie mummy things back to life. So. I remember, I'm kind of getting ahead of us, so this is a bit of a spoiler for the, maybe one or two people that don't already know what's going to happen. When I was young, I don't remember exactly how old I was, maybe in like 5th grade, so maybe 10, reading the Tokyo Pop / Mix Comics version of the first graphic novel Prince. There was a scene in the 2nd volume where Usagi is having this nightmare about Mamoru after he's been kidnapped and brainwashed by Beryl. And she has this vision of him basically disintegrating and turning into a terrible zombie mummy like the general did.
I remember spotting that.
Yeah, and that really creeped me out. I didn't like that page. I'd kind of skip over it, because that really gave me the ghiblis. So, I'm sort of wondering what they're going to do with that in the manga, if they're or in Crystal, if they're going to do that at all, or if they're going to continue this tradition of avoiding gross mummies. So.
Man, that reminds me of something that is completely away from this podcast, which I'm not going to say on here, but I remember seeing something like that, and little by little the flesh came on. Then and then at the end, it was like this really big, huge guy, and it's like ended up when his like completely flesh and blood, it came out from like black tar.
So wait, okay, you can say it. What was this from?
It was from the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pyramidal Light movie.
Yeah.
It was. Even though it's like supposed not to say it here, but It's similar.
Yeah, mummies are gross.
Yeah.
I'll be okay if they skip that part in Crystal.
Yeah.
And
that's it. Achievement was a quick Halloween's part, small, special, whatever.
Yes, our small tribute to Halloween was our gross mummy conversation. But also, Act 7, we get our first glimpse of Sailor V, which I'm excited about because I love Minako. Something I noticed, though, there's a brief glimpse that you get that's over Minako's shoulder before you see her face on. And I don't know if it's an animation error or if it's an intentional Easter egg, but as you're looking at her from over her shoulder, the shoulder of her uniform is not her Sailor Venus Fuku, it's her Sailor V Fuku with the metal shoulder pad and the blue sleeve and everything. But then when you see her from the front, she's just wearing her Sailor Venus usual Fuku. So I noticed that. And I don't know if that was an intentional nod or if they just kind of forgot what she was being drawn in, but either way, I thought it was cool.
Do you want to take a break for a while?
Yeah, let's go ahead. We'll take a break. And ending it on a note about Sailor V, because that will be relevant to our next topic of conversation when we come back, as is our break song, Root Venus. So we will see you guys in a bit.
Okay. See you soon.
Alright, guys, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, that was kind of a hint for our next topic. If you remember, last week, we mentioned that we would do this in a future topic because we both had a lot to say.
Mm-hmm.
And that is Codename Sailor V. It was a manga that was written by Naoko Takeuchi. It was serialized in a sister publication to the one that Sailor Moon was later serialized in. It did come first, but you can tell how it definitely laid the groundwork for Sailor Moon. There's a lot of references, and a lot of the lore is established in Sailor V.
Which is actually really interesting because usually we don't get that kind of interaction about like what Sailor V was in the original anime.
Mm-hmm. You got like that one episode, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, and that was one of the quote-unquote lost episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Sad thing is that I don't think it's been aired in America yet, in the original dub. Not sure about the though.
Yeah, they'll probably do that one in the episode where Usagi's family goes to the lake and she fights the lake monster. That was never dubbed in the Dick dub, but they'll probably do that one.
I remember when they went on the holiday, or is that something different?
Yeah, I think so.
If it was,
oh wait, no, you know what? I think I'm confusing that. It was a different episode. That it was Usagi and Rei and Amy went to like this beach house. I think that's the one I'm thinking of.
Okay.
That never got that. But anyway, Sailor V.
Yeah.
Alright. The general storyline of Sailor V is how Minako Aino becomes Sailor V. She's found by Artemis and given a pen that she uses to transform, much like Sailor Moon by Luna. And she fights the beginnings of the Dark Kingdom's outreaches to Japan, done under the guise of a company called the Dark Agency. And they do a lot of stuff more similar to like Yoma worked in the first series of the manga, or like the Monster of the Day people, where it's more episodic, except for near the end where there's more cohesion. But they use a lot of trying to gather energy by brainwashing people through using singers and TV and special items and stuff like that.
And what you probably don't know, which I think could be used in Crystal, I'm not that quite sure yet, because at the time of this recording, Sailor V's transformation item hasn't been shown. However, in the manga, it has been revealed as this pen that has a star on it. It's not like a transformation stick or the normal transformation pen that she will get later on. But this one is just like a normal day-to-day pen with a cap on it and a star. Just only has superpowers.
And in the manga, it's how she communicates with an entity only known as the boss, who gives her and Artemis their more direct orders. And the star that's on the cap expands out into an antenna, and there's a little microphone and an earbud on the cap that she uses to talk to the boss.
And what else it goes, she got given 2 items. The pen was one, and the other one is like a crescent moon shaped compact. And what I understand, well, this is what I think I understand, is she uses it for not only attacks but also doing disguises, which we're going to touch up a bit later on.
I think she actually uses the pen for disguises. I just read them today to brush up on it because I have the Kodansha print of them as well. And I think the pen is for disguises, the transformations in general, disguises, and for Sailor V. The compact, it has a mirror in it that reveals people's true selves. So when she looks in it, she sees herself as Sailor V. When a Yoma looks in it, they see themselves as like a gross shadow monster thing. And that it's the focus of most of her attacks, like the Crescent Beam and the Venus Rain and stuff like that. She also, later on, gets a microphone that she uses for a single attack towards the end, but it is another item that Artemis gives her.
And of course, we all know that Minako is a daydreamer who can get distracted. Kind of like, just like Kusaki herself. No, those two are really, really similar. And at the time when Sailor V started, she was 13 years old. So
yes,
by the time that she did her debut, she's probably around age 14, like the other Sailor Scouts.
Yeah, this shows that she was active about a year earlier than everyone else.
Yeah, and sadly, which we're going to touch on later, something happens to realize, I think I mentioned it before, that she was looking for her true love.
That's more towards the end. I figured we summarize up to that point. But I did just look the other attack item she gets. It's called the Venus Mic, and she uses it to perform the attack Venus 10 billion volt Rock and Rouge, which she only uses once to defeat a karaoke themed Yoma.
I would love to see that animated. I love to see it animated and voiced. That would have been a really cool attack for Crystal.
Yes. Or if they ever do, because it was discussed before they actually made the original Sailor Moon anime that they were going to make a series of Sailor V OVAs. So that would have been cool.
Yeah.
But like we said, it's about Sailor V. Artemis is there. The boss is there. It is, I believe, I have read that it's a popular theory that the boss is actually like Queen Serenity or some sort of, moon official like that. I don't know if that was ever actually confirmed, but I've read that as a theory. Other important characters are Minako's best friend named Hikari, who looks suspiciously like Amy. Which is, you find characters who look like characters who are used later on. She goes to school with a boy named Amano Gurizaku, who is basically an exact clone of Umino Gurio, who, if you know him from the English dub, he is Melvin.
Yeah. Sorry. But because I recently watched one of the episodes that was dubbed by Viz Media, and man, that gave me the creeps.
They mention all throughout Sailor V how creepy Amano is, because he's this big nerdy otaku. No one likes him.
Yeah. And it's like something that we forgot to mention earlier, that Imin was like, you're still looking outside of V and all that kind of stuff. What you want to search up is Sailor Moon. But I want to be the first to know about who she is and all that. And poor Usagi. Even though what the origin is trying to find if Sailor V was an ally or enemy.
Yeah, that's what Sailor V was looking for.
Yeah.
Also, one of the predominant characters in Sailor V is the chief inspector of the special division of the police, named Natsuna Sakurada. You might recognize that last name because Haruna Sakurada is Usagi's homeroom teacher. And yes, they are sisters. Southern connection. Also, Natsuna Sakurada looks very, very much like Rei. She has the black hair. She's, known for being beautiful. She looks a lot like Rei.
Mm. The difference,
And,
this is what I've seen. The difference is that that Rei was in a different school, and the popular one in the class wasn't. Which is kind of odd if it's like a clone of each other, but seeing those kind of touches is really, really interesting.
Yeah, and this is kind of more my own opinion. It's not, so much a real confirmed design nod like Sakurada and Hikari are, but I thought Minako's mom looked sort of like Makoto. I thought that was sort of the Makoto of the story, even though Minako doesn't really get along with her mom.
Yeah. But yeah, I do see Minako as a very interesting character.
I definitely gained a much bigger appreciation for her than I had after reading that manga.
Yeah. Because through that, like the first lot, including Sailor V, is like she's a daydreamer, she wants to be famous, she wants to do this, that, fall in love, and all that. When the live action came along, she ended up being a singer that she wanted to be, but also has this kind of like mysterious disease. And apparently, this is what I saw, every time she transforms, she gets sicker. And sicker and sicker and sicker until she dies.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah.
I did not see the end of PGSM.
No. She died before the end of the live action.
Oh. Well, PGSM is definitely its own beast that probably also deserves its own topic.
Yeah. Then later on, like when I told you that last time when the world came back to life after the sacrifice, Minako came back as well.
Oh, well,
so that also revived her back.
Well, good.
Even though they were not Sailor Senshi anymore, but they brought her back as a nice touch, saying that we haven't forgotten about her.
That's kind of like how they did in the first act of the original anime, where everyone died at D point, but then everyone came back to life, but didn't remember they were Senshi. But yeah, Sailor V. Other important characters are Sakurada's the police that serve under her are trying to, they believe Sailor V is like a vigilante. They think she might be involved in crimes. Whereas Sakurada is a huge Sailor V fangirl and loves her and wants to meet her and wants to work with her on the police force and wants her to join the police. So I thought that was kind of funny. But yes, Sailor V starts out more episodic, not as, each episode is kind of more self-contained until you get closer to the end. But you start learning things or seeing nods of future Senshi pretty early on in Sailor V. The first real cameo you see is during Act 5. You see her in the Crown Center arcade, where Minako also is. And Usagi is there with Naru, and you kind of see them talking in the background while Minako is doing her own thing. So it's definitely, you can see the other senshi, you know they're around. It's just establishing Minako. And that's the other thing is, it definitely shows, because by the time Sailor Moon starts, her mom is reading the newspaper about Sailor V. There's the Sailor V arcade game. This really shows Sailor's rise in popularity. You don't just, see, she used to be a household name, but she's gotten less active now. You really see that Sailor V has a lot of fans. She's really popular. A lot of people know about her. You see how she attained that idol status that she had before Sailor Moon came along.
And I think because later on we're probably going to touch upon it, her true awakening, she knew who the princess was.
Yes.
She knew what happened. But up to the point when this the other senshis died.
Yes.
And they used her as a decoy for the Moon Princess.
And yes, that's part of the story. It's towards the end. A character called Phantom Ace shows up, who's kind of the tuxedo mask to Minako's Sailor Moon. He shows up, he saves her when she's in danger. There's a sort of suggested romance going on, and really towards the end is where things kind of start turning more serious and really getting the connection to Sailor Moon, because and this is major spoilers, so if you don't want to know how Sailor V ends, skip ahead. We'll put an annotation as to when we stop talking about Sailor V in the video, and you can go ahead and skip ahead to there, and so you don't hear the end of Sailor V.
Yeah.
But at the end, you realize Phantom Ace was an awakened soldier from Venus named Adonis, who already knew who Minako and Sailor V was and knew her true identity as Sailor Venus and her history. And what happens is they're on this movie set, and there's a crumbling castle because the set's being destroyed. And that triggers her memories of being in the destroyed Moon Kingdom and trying to get people out of the palace and trying to rescue Usagi, or Serenity, rather. And that's what triggers her memories, and she starts to remember all this, and Adonis tells her about how she was a chosen sailor guardian who went to live on the moon, and he loved her from afar, but her duty came first, and he knew that. And it sort of wraps up a continuing theme through the Sailor V manga, which is Minako falls in love at the drop of the hat, which is what hellenjane brought up earlier. And she falls, and a few of them are kind of cameo-like, and we'll talk about those in a minute, but she falls in love constantly. It's a joke. They make fun of it in the manga. They say she has over 5,000 first loves, because every time she has a crush on a guy, she says, "Oh, he's my first love." But he says, you were always falling in love with people, even when you were a moon prince or princess of Venus. And his thing is cards, so he says, "I'll use this card and tell your fortune. You will never find true love, because you will always put your duty to the princess before your desire to love anyone." And he dies, and that's when she really realizes she's not just Sailor V, she's Sailor Venus, protector of the princess. She has to find the other senshi. She realizes who she is and what she has to do.
Yeah.
Which always makes me emotional. It's really kind of jarring that the end is so solemn and serious when the rest of the manga is so kind of crazy and hyperactive.
And including all those free trips that she gets. because she has a ton of free trips just to fight this group called Dark Agency, which is probably a small branch to the Dark Kingdom.
Yes, it's the first reachings of the Dark Kingdom, and you can see the tie because the first real note that you get, aside from knowing that they're the bad guy, is one of the higher ranking bad guys in this organization is named Fluorite, which, as you know, kunzite, malachite, jadeite, nephrite, they're named after stones. So you see Fluorite, and you're like, she's probably part of it too. And then you hear her boss is named Denburite. And it turns out that Denburite is Phantom Ace / Adonis. So, and he joined with the Dark Kingdom because they promised him the power to destroy Sailor V, and he thought maybe he could actually use that power to change their fates and make them be together, but it just didn't happen.
No. Which really sucks because even though the official, quote-unquote, pairing is one of the generals or one of the kings. But
yeah, that's one of there's in one panel right at the end when he's saying you always were falling in love with people, it shows her and Malachite together. And that's one of the sort of cameos of Sailor Moon characters.
Yeah, because what I noticed at the end when she was gone on the train, a certain scout decided to walk off the train.
That's another cameo. You want to reveal that one?
It was actually Sailor Jupiter who went off the train. That's when I think that she went there not only to sign up for the local high school, but also looking for a place to stay and all that kind of stuff so she can support herself.
Exactly.
How on earth was she able to get all that money?
I guess it's the general fan consensus is that her parents left her enough of an inheritance to get by on her own. But, yeah, but that also, like I said, Usagi actually shows up 3 or 4 times in the manga. Usually it's at the arcade or at least around town. Your glimpse of Rei is also outside of the arcade because one of the acts is about the Dark Agency using a video game to steal people's energy, and Rei notices that there's this dark energy coming from inside of the Crown Center arcade, and then her friends shoo her away because arcades are for gross nerds, and they didn't want to be around there. But I think one of the most telling cameos is Amy's. Do you remember that one?
Not as well.
It's when she is going to China, because that's where the whole final 2 acts take place, is in China while they're filming this movie. The chief inspector, Sakurada, is telling her, you should let me send my police force with you so you have backup and you'll be safe. And Minako says, no, it's okay, I'll have Artemis with me. I won't be alone. And as she says that, Amy is walking past her because Amy is seeing her mother off to some sort of medical conference. And Minako realizes she just sort of had this flash of feeling of knowing she had people behind her. And she even says, I wonder why I felt like that just now. But it's because just at that exact moment, Amy walked past her. And she didn't even know.
The sad thing is that they don't acknowledge that in the Sailor Moon manga. Even though Minako acknowledged, spoiler alert, that she acknowledged that she was in the lunar base before. Because, I remember this place. Or I remember being in this place or something like that.
Yeah, that's, Artemis does take her to the base at the Crown Center Arcade. She talks to the boss there. That's where Artemis does a lot of his research. So she is actually the first Senshi there before even Amy. Before Luna takes the other girls there. But I guess it's kind of understandable that they didn't acknowledge it, though, because I bet they don't even remember it. I bet if Minako didn't even know Amy was there, so she wouldn't really acknowledge later on, oh, hey, you're the girl from the airport, because she didn't know her. She wasn't paying attention to her. She wouldn't really remember she was there. Or, oh, you were the girl on the train. She didn't know Makoto. She didn't care. She didn't remember that.
And I actually like those small connections between the two. I mean, the Sailor V popularity, while Minako is back at school studying and all that kind of stuff. In the same school.
Yep.
Different classes. And Yusaki didn't really know that Sailor V was at her school. After all this time.
Does she transfer to Usagi school? I thought she stayed at her own school. I thought she stayed at Shiba Park. I don't remember. That's really weird.
Yeah.
That'll be a note that we'll have to include in the next episode or in an annotation or something. We'll look that up.
I'll quickly look there right now.
One of my favorite nods, though, to Sailor Moon is one of the chapters of Sailor V. She actually helps a mangaka who's having issues with getting her pages turned in on time. And this mangaka is basically writing Sailor Moon. It's called Aurora Bride. It's about 10... in her story, there are 10 sisters who run a bridal shop. And by night, they're revolutionary soldiers. And then one by one, they all retire and get married. And in the end, it's just the main character and her boyfriend, coattail mask. And, their love triangle, will they, won't they thing. But it even shows a silhouette of all of the Aurora Bride characters. And it's the Senshi. It's the 10th Senshi. So, the equivalent of Sailor Moon exists within the Sailor Moon universe, and that tickled me.
Yeah, that actually reminds me of Wedding Peach for a bit.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah, because they had
the wedding theme.
The wedding dresses. Then later on, they were given the power to change their wedding dresses to a battle outfit. So that was kind of like an omen for Wedding Peach to exist. But yeah, kind of like a bit of a Easter egg for you guys who read Wedding Peach, watched Wedding Peach, and also Wedding Peach XD or DX or something like that. Anyway.
That same episode, or that same act, the way that the Dark Agency is stealing energy is through these, actually, it isn't even really the dark energy, it's the pet triplets, and it's this guy who's the king of dogs or whatever, and he's sending out his dog minions, and his dog minions are stealing energy, so the mangaka has a little black dog with a crescent moon spot named Luna. The dog's name is Luna. And Artemis sees her and freaks out. And he learns it's not Luna, but he still is like, oh, she's so cute. I don't care. It's a dog. I want to date her. And then he eventually finds out that Luna turns out to be a guy and is very disappointed.
Oh man. Yeah, man.
Other mentions of more casual mentions or references to Sailor Moon include Dan Bright, before you realize his real identity as Phantom Ace, he mentions that he wants to impress Kunzite. And you don't actually see Kunzite when that is said, but that's when you learn, oh, he's working under Kunzite. And then at the end he confirms that, yes, he's been working under the Four Kings of Heaven. Also, one of the guys that Minako falls in love at first sight with looks very suspiciously like a teenage Kunzite. He's got the longish white hair, he's tall, he's very strong, but still a leader. He's the leader of his gang of delinquents in that story. So that's a lot of people believe that was a nod to her previous attraction to Kunzite. What else is there? Rei, Umino. Oh, at one point, one of many free trips she wins. She's supposed to go to Hawaii, but she ends up going to Greece by accident. And while she's in Greece, she says, all of these ruins and all of these mentions of Venus and stuff, they're making me feel nostalgic, like I should be remembering something. And Artemis says, oh, you're starting to remember something? Like this is all familiar to you? And then it gets played as a joke, and she says, yes, I remember that I don't want to be here, I want to be Hawaii. But were you looking up what school she was in? Because I thought she still had the uniform from Shiba Park when she shows up.
Because she had that pocket.
Because instead of having the big bow on front of her uniform like the Juban school did, she's got the little sailor tie thing. So I think she still goes to her own school.
Here we go. I mixed it up. Sorry. She was in a different high school than the others when she was in middle school. But when she entered high school, she joined the others.
Yes.
Exact same one. Sorry, guys. I mixed it up. My bad. But, yeah. So that's the Sailor V manga. I would definitely recommend it. But even if you're not a huge fan of Minako or Sailor V, try to read it. It'll give you a new appreciation for her, and if nothing else, it gives a lot of background for stuff that's only kind of hinted at in Sailor Moon. I definitely recommend it. Yeah. And if you can, on YouTube there are certain clips that's from I don't know if it's real or fan made, but there is, or fan made or something like that, but there is some clips of this Sailor V anime. It's like,
that's what I'm thinking that's probably what did get finished of the OVAs that eventually just became the Sailor Moon anime.
Yeah, because it showed her transformation. It showed her actually using the crescent compact as her disguise, not the pen. And it does show her singing.
Yeah. And actually, aren't the Starlights there when she's singing? Or people who look like the Starlights, at least?
Yeah, and the thing that you probably, if you find that singing clip, it was the exact same one that we used for the break song earlier, Root Venus.
Isn't that also, they have the opening for the anime/OVA, and isn't that the song as well, or is that a different one?
That's the exact same song. Yep. So, Root Venus is Sailor Venus's theme song. Each Sailor Scout has their own main theme song, then any songs that follows under that. Root Venus is one of her theme songs.
Alright. In the original Sailor Moon anime, Venus's backstory gets changed quite a bit. You don't know as much about it because they made these changes, but there is one episode where you learn she actually used to live in London and worked with the police there. And there is a police officer that she is kind of involved with who has a rough equivalent in Sailor V as someone whose name I'm going to look up now because I forgot it and I didn't write it down, and that's his name.
While she's looking up, according to Wikipedia, this is a fun fact. Her favorite class is PE. Well, in the manga itself, her least favorite subjects is maths and English.
That is one of the differences you learn about between, actually, let me look up the name first and then I'll get to that. Toshio Wakagi is, kind of her opponent on the police force. He works under Sakurada, and he doesn't like Sailor V. He thinks she's a troublemaker. He thinks she's probably behind all these crimes. And he doesn't like that she steals all the credit for solving the crimes, and then Sakurada punishes him for not actually doing anything. But yeah, in the episode where you see Sailor V's backstory in the first anime, I think his name is Andy, is this police officer guy who's also blonde, and that is also sort of involved with his chief of police that Minako has a crush on, because he's also in the manga one of the many guys that she gets a crush on. But, like hellenjane was saying earlier, one of the main differences that you see between Usagi and Minako, despite they both like to eat, they both like video games, they like manga, they both like to, shirk responsibilities. But Minako is very active and very coordinated. She loves PE, she's on the volleyball team, she wins sports competitions all the time, whereas Usagi is a giant klutz and doesn't like to move when she doesn't have to.
The only exercise that Usagi has is when she's running late. When she runs late, she runs. And when she runs, well, watch out whoever's in her way.
So far in Sailor Moon Crystal, Sailor V has played pretty much the same role she did in the Sailor Moon manga. But it's worth noting at this point that the Sailor V arcade games that, give Usagi these certain special items, and when Sailor V herself even talks directly to Usagi saying, you need to use the moon wand, you can do this. Those machines were originally placed in the arcade by Artemis and the boss because Minako kept shirking her training. She didn't want to, learn to become a warrior. She wanted to play video games. So the boss and Artemis put Sailor V video games in the arcade to train Minako. And so that function carries over once Usagi becomes Sailor Moon to kind of train and help her as well. Which also, because I always kind of wondered, what are these machines? I mean, I know Luna had something to do with them because it's kind of hinted that Luna fills them with the items and stuff, and then that the machine is connected to the base. But how did they get there? What happened? And Sailor V tells you that they were put there as training devices.
And it's quite interesting because it has, I think, at least 4 or 5 Sailor V games in a row.
Yeah, that's, originally there was only the one that was there from Minako, but I'm guessing what happened is that, as Sailor V grew more and more popular, a legitimate Sailor V game that Artemis didn't sneak in there ended up being put in. So that's why there's more machines, and it's kind of different than it is when Minako plays it, when Usagi plays it. Alright, did you have anything else to add to our Sailor V discussion?
Yes, the part that I want to add on is her well, technically her proper debut as a character. Not in a game, not in the paper, not in the news, but as an actual character. Because in Act 6, that's when when Luna put in the DVD, then it's back out. Then it went all staticky.
Yep.
Then it showed that Sera My told Yusaki that she has to be alert, she has to face this enemy. Kind of thing. Which is like, I remember the reaction from Yusaki, like, the game talked! Or slightly talked! And to expect Luna's, what on earth are you talking about? She knew it was Sailor Venus. She knew it was her.
You can tell in the anime when they're trying to say, I think Sailor Venus is one of us, or I think Sailor V is one of us. Luna, what do you know about Sailor V? And Luna's like, nothing, I don't know about Sailor V. She's lying. You can tell.
Yeah. Then later on in that act, it showed kind of like some animes when it's like one to focus on a character, but not too much, and it's the eyes are shadowed. Some of them have been like that. This also happened to Sera My when she was talking to Luna in Luna Base.
Yes.
Which I think
you kind of saw her silhouette, but you didn't really see. If you didn't know who it was already, you wouldn't know who it was. That sounds kind of redundant, but I hope what I'm getting is, if you didn't know it was Sailor V, the mystery would be there for who that character was. Or
if you didn't get it then, there was this few second sequence of Artemis and Sera My standing on a building watching the four. Like showing that she, like, that's her her official debut.
Yes. And that's when I said you can see when it's doing the over-the-shoulder shot of Sailor V, she's wearing her Sailor V fuku, but then when you go back to the front shot of her, she's just wearing her usual Sailor Venus fuku.
I think you're mixing it up with, it was episode Act 7. Because in Act 7 it was her original Sailor fuku.
Oh, right. Okay. I know what you're talking about now. Okay.
Act 6, it was her Sailor V outfit.
Yeah.
Then it ended up being the normal Sailor fuku. And aren't you quite surprised how she was introduced? Because
I thought it was one of those shots where it was almost, if you took a screenshot of Sailor Moon Crystal and put it next to the drawing from the manga, they're almost exactly the same.
But I was actually quite surprised that they introduced her as a character in Act 6 as Sailor V. Then in Act 7 it was Sailor Venus. So that's what I was surprised about. But hey, if they want to introduce her that way, they did it that way. I actually quite want to know how Act 8 is going to play out. Which we will tell the developments in podcast episode number 3. Like how she integrates into the story and how she acts as the princess.
Which actually ties into the one last thing I wanted to talk about, which was reading Sailor V, and you see she gets her memories back, and she knows specifically she's looking to guard the princess. So in Sailor Moon, when she says, yes, I'm the princess, I'm who you're looking for, you realize she knows that's not who she is. But she knows that the other Senshi haven't awakened enough to say what's going on, for her to tell them what's going on exactly, which is something that I didn't know until I read Sailor V.
Yeah.
So it adds more sides to Sailor Moon once you know what happened in Sailor V.
Yeah, and the exact same thing with Luna as well. Like, she said in the manga, if she woken up sooner, she would have known that Sailor V was a decoy. But in order for that to work, they cannot unlock her memories of the Moon Kingdom. They cannot, so she can protect not only the crystal, but also Yusaki as well. And Artemis is the only one who knows. Until that reveal happened, Luna had no idea.
Yep.
And fingers crossed that will also slide into the later acts as well. And
Alright.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else?
Nope.
Alright, then I think with that, we are going to go to our second break. It is a song from the American dub of the anime. It is A New Day by Jennifer Seehee. I hope you guys enjoy, and we'll see you soon.
Got up this morning on the right side of my bed with all these crazy thoughts screaming through my head. I can't wait to see what this world holds for me. Oh, it's a new day. Oh, it's a new day. And when I see you anytime or any place, you are the reason for the smile on my face. 'Cause you make me feel all my dreams can be real. Oh, it's a new day. Oh, it's a new day. It feels so good to be alive, even if a little rain should fall. 'Cause every moment brings a new surprise to us all. Oh, it's a new day. 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 Hearing you, I found a friend. You'll be with me to the end. Oh, it's a new day.
Alright guys, welcome back again. We hope you enjoyed A New Day. We are going to move now into the merch of the podcast, which is I chose this week because it is the very first thing that exposed me to Sailor Moon, and that is the 6-inch adventure dolls from Bandai. They released all 5 of the Inner Scouts and Barrel, each scout came with a crescent moon wand, even though, only Sailor Moon had one, but they each came with one. Except Beryl came with a staff. They each had tiaras that you could pop out of their heads, but it left little holes in them, so you wouldn't want to. The ones I had all had boots. They all had Sailor Moon's boots. They didn't have their individual shoes, and the boots were molded on, as were the gloves. And also, I remember you could pop their heads off really easily. So when I wanted to change their boot color, I would switch their heads out. That was what I remember about them.
Yeah. The suck thing is that if you take off the tiara, and this is including Queen Beryl's tiara that she wears, and also the crescent wands, they will get lost easily.
Yes, they were very small. I know Jupiter's tiara and Beryl's tiara didn't last long when I had them. Neither did Beryl's scepter. And I think I managed to keep a hold of one of the crescent moon wands, but the other four, no, they disappeared. They were very small.
Yeah, the suck things is that these dolls are one of the most one of the best of the English merch. It's more. It's like it was on the shelves all the time, and they were promoting. I also think the crescent wand thing as well. I can't remember.
Yes. Bandai also made the moon stick. Her second wand. Its name is escaping me right now. But the one she uses to do Moon Princess Halation, and the brooch she had at that same time. They made all three of those, and I had all of those.
Yeah. That's all I remember is the dolls. Don't all remember that all I wanted was the dolls, the brooch, and the stick. The first brooch. I didn't want anything else.
The dolls, I also know they did a 6-inch version, which are the ones that I remember. They also did, I believe, 11-inch versions. And some of them were like the smaller ones where they all had molded on boots, but some of them actually had each of the Senshi's individual Fugu shoes. Like Sailor Mars had her heels, and Jupiter had her ankle boots and stuff like that.
Yeah. But there's really good childhood memories with them.
I played with them constantly. I actually ended up with 2 Sailor Moons somehow. So they were lots of fun. And actually, their costumes were made of satin. They had like a little button for each brooch. They were fairly well made. They didn't, like I said, their heads, you could pull them off yourself, but they didn't fall off on their own. The clothes stood up to a little 5-year-old ripping them off of them all the time. They were pretty sturdy dolls. So they were, and but yes, my very first exposure to Sailor Moon was my mom got one of the Sailor Moon doll, and on the back it gave their information, like their name, their age, their birthday, a little bit of a bio about them, and that was the first Sailor Moon thing I ever saw.
And it's really awesome to actually see some of it, like, online as pictures, and people who still have the original, like those dolls, not even left the package as more like collectibles.
Yeah.
They are selling it on Amazon. It's between $25 to $58 or $59.
When I looked, there were some on eBay for actually only around like $12. Now, once again, it's eBay. I can't vouch for the authenticity or how well the sellers will treat you. It's totally up in the air. I can't say for sure any of that will happen. But when I looked, there was a fair amount available on eBay that wouldn't cost an arm and a leg if anyone wanted to take a look at that.
And on eBay, if you visit from a different country, it will have what it will sell in your country. Because I'm looking at one of them now. Of course, it's $15. In New Zealand dollars, is $18.93 for $1.
Yeah, which really is not bad for a 10-year-old doll that a lot of people would want to collect. But like I said, eBay, you're taking a chance. I cannot vouch for anything you buy on eBay, so don't.
Yeah.
If you go looking on eBay and it doesn't turn out well, please don't send me an angry email, because I can't do anything about eBay.
Yeah. Also because I hardly use eBay. It just loves searching what I can find. Like in the moment, it's more like the 20th anniversary merchandise that is still coming out. By the way, it's.
Did you hear about the big new merchandise that they started doing? Is Sailor Moon brand pads and tampons.
What?
Yep. And at first you think, that's just so weird. Why did they do that? They're just putting Sailor Moon on anything that doesn't already have Sailor Moon on it. But then, if you think about it, for a girl who might be kind of scared that that's happening and it's just starting, having Sailor Moon have her back might be kind of comforting. So, I don't know. It's still kind of weird, but maybe it'll help someone feel better.
Yeah. That is really, really interesting. I never heard that.
Yeah. They're coming out. I guess they've been handing out samples in some stations in Japan, like train stations.
If you're over in Japan in the moment and got given some of the samples, please take a photo and send it to us. We would love to actually see what it looks like. Because it sounds really, really interesting. Because I know that we're going to touch on for one of the future topics, that they had an ad for this eye drops thing that if you got a red eye after you went into the pool, it drop and you put it in, like put these drops in to make the redness go away.
Oh, they had Sailor Moon red eye drops?
It was a different brand, but Sailor Moon and the others was promoting it.
The promotion characters.
Yep.
Well, that's, people buy anything with Sailor Moon on it, and I can't blame them. If I had access to Sailor Moon promoted eye drops, I'd probably buy them too.
Yeah.
So, this 6-inch Sailor Moon Adventure dolls from Bandai. My 6-year-old self highly recommends them if you can get a hold of them anywhere. Honestly, they're probably still out in my garage somewhere. They just haven't been unpacked since we moved. But if I uncover them, I'll let you guys know.
Yeah. And it's history, guys.
Yeah. Alright. So moving on from that, I believe hellenjane said we have a bit of a Q&A we wanted to do.
Well, a bit of feedback on some few people on one of the forums that I go on.
Alright.
So I'm going to do from newest to oldest.
Okay.
So the first one said, I like this podcast. By the way, you have amazing accent. We're already through the accent. And I will check out Cinnamon Crystal.
From what I understand, a lot of people really liked your accent.
Yep. Previous videos sometimes have, I love your accent. You have a really amazing accent. Okay. The next one is basically saying that they will listen to it at the point later, as this person likes listening to podcasts, like for relaxation purposes. It sounds like it's going to be good, so keep up the good work. So
we'll try.
Yeah, we will do our best. The next one, because the one I put for the topic, my voice has returned with a vengeance to try and get some members to watch it. So I'm gonna read all of it out. When I saw this title, I thought that some band member on VIW came back with a Mac computer software threatening to get its revenge on the stars of VIW. Lol. That would have been interesting. I still adore your accent, by the way. Yeah. But the one that actually caught my eye, I want to bring a bit of attention to, which will transition to our corrections from last podcast. I wouldn't use the full opening. I kind of skipped into it, so I'm not really sure if you did. Lol. But overall, from the snip it's I heard, I thought it was fine. I would say add some video clips or something in the background to make it more interesting. Or you can upload your podcast like to iTunes or something. But overall, what I heard is good so far.
Okay. Yeah, using the full opening was sort of a mistake. It's I used the wrong MP3 when I put it into the audio file. So, but we, as you probably heard in the beginning of this one, we used the TV size opening from now on.
Yeah, and we did touch on why we not putting it on iTunes in the moment.
At least for now.
Yeah.
Once we get things a bit more figured out, we might try to make the move. As for the video itself, we know, a single slide is pretty boring. We sometimes put annotations on there if we have a correction or just a little suggestion to make, but otherwise, feel free to just keep it open in one tab and do something else in another.
Yeah.
If you don't feel like sitting there and watching a single picture for an hour, it's totally understandable.
And if you notice in the last one, if there's anything funny that I noticed, I will add it in before finishing off the editing.
Mm-hmm.
Like with Kitty behind me, when he was meowing, I said that was one of the two cats that I had. He said hello. Then at the end of that, when it comes close to the mic, he wanted attention.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to make it a bit more funnier to some of the captions. Like that random the random do I did last time. I did something a little bit funny to get a bit of humor out of it.
Mm-hmm.
For the iTunes thing again, it's not the storage system, it's the code that really got us confused. Because you had to have the storage system and the picture and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the code itself that is complicated.
Yeah, it's you have to have a place to host the files to upload to or to connect to iTunes, and neither of us have the resources for that right now. I think that's one of the major roadblocks at this point.
Yeah.
But we'll see what the future holds. You know, if we stick with YouTube, maybe we will try to get, you know, maybe we'll try to feature some fan art or something if people want to submit fan art that we can do slideshows of through the podcast. You know, interesting screen caps, stuff like that. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, and maybe in the future we will show some clips, especially one of the topics that we plan to do in the future. Some of it you're probably like, oh yeah, that's interesting, and the other one is like, what on earth? Why? Trust me, I've seen these clips that I want to put in with some of the future podcasts, and one of them, it looks really, really weird because it looks like it's cheese, but it looks like it's something else as well. So like, okay.
I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about, but I think I'm just going to leave it a mystery for everyone listening.
Wait until we get to that part. Thank you.
Alright. Was there any more in the Q&A or comments?
Yep, there's one more. 30 views is a good first step. I try to watch it when I can.
Alright. Well, thank you very much for your comments and support, guys, and for your suggestions. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. We do have some things to correct from last podcast.
Yeah, most of them are pronunciations.
Yes. We are so sorry that we butchered them all.
Yes, a lot of them. Or if it wasn't just us forgetting the actual word itself, it was us not pronouncing it right, such as one that was all throughout the podcast, probably the most egregious one. The group who has sung Moon Pride and Moonbow and did a cover of Moonlight Densetsu.
And don't forget about the Sailor Stars theme as well. Yes.
Momoiro Clover Z. Not Momoro, not whatever it was I called it last time. Momoiro Clover Z.
Or me as well.
Another thing we were having a lot of issues with was Sailor Mars, one of her first attacks. I think I called it like Ni Hao Taison, and I think hellenjane like something talisman. The attack is Akurio Taison, and I believe that's actually what's written on those slips of paper. It's like, it basically means, you know, be gone, evil spirit, something like that. But Akurio Taison. And we actually kind of did this one earlier. The performer for A New Day and I Want to Be a Star is Jennifer Seehee. I think we're having some trouble with her name last time. And also on the subject of music, the composer for Sailor Moon Crystal is Yasuharu Takanashi. Also, an error on my part that I misspoke without realizing it until it was too late. When talking about the Four Kings of Heaven, I said that Jadeite was the king/commander of Europe, and Zoisite was the king commander of the Far East. That's actually the other way around. Jadeite is the Far Eastern commander, and Zoisite is the European commander. I fudged those two.
And I also made a mistake, which I did clear it up at the end of last one. We didn't really discuss which Wednesday we're going to upload the podcast. It was a last-minute decision, so...
Yeah, because since I'm in the U.S. and hellenjane is in New Zealand, we have 2 different Wednesdays. What's Wednesday for her, it's going to be Tuesday for me and anyone else in the U.S.
And when it's Wednesday in the US, over here in New Zealand, it's Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a bit of discussion about it, and we are going to go with Northern Hemisphere Tuesday and Southern Hemisphere on the Wednesday.
Yes, it will be Kiwi Wednesday. So for all of us over here in the U.S., it will be Tuesdays, and it is the first Tuesday/Wednesday of each month.
We're still sticking with that, but we just want to clear that up.
Yeah.
Because we don't want any more confusion.
Mm-hmm.
And we do not want everyone to say if it's going to be uploaded today, is it going to be uploaded tomorrow, going to be confusion about if there's going to be a delay or something like that. I will, if you're on, if you see one of us, we're both on DeviantArt, if you're listening from the forum that I posted this on, talk to me there or something like that.
Facebook, if you see us on Facebook.
And Twitter or Tumblr, or something like that. And if you're a little bit confused and you're listening now, that is completely cleared up.
Yes. Just, if you're in the U.S., it will be the first Tuesday of every month. If you're in New Zealand or anywhere in that portion of the world, the first Wednesday of each month.
Yeah, it's a bit of a time zone issue, and even though I know that there's different time zones for each region, but I just hate the time zone issue about when, some of the videos that I watch, even though released on the Monday in the Northern Hemisphere, in the Southern Hemisphere, it's on the Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like that, so.
Alright, well, now that that's cleared up, I believe that's all the corrections we had.
That is correct.
Alright, which means that we are done for tonight.
Yep. Remember that we do have an email address, so you can also send your comments, your feedback, suggestions for topics. And also we decided to, if you guys have any thoughts of the franchise itself or anything that you would like to share on this podcast, feel free to email us at mooniethoughts@gmail.com, which is MOONIethoughts@gmail.com.
Yep. So anything you guys, questions, comments, suggestions, if you have a short message you want us to read in one of the podcasts, just send it to us. Let us know. And we definitely encourage you to contact us through that way. YouTube comments on DeviantArts or Facebooks. We love those too. The best way to make sure that we see and keep your message, though, if it's something important, is through the email.
And be aware that any feedback or question and answers we will say it on the podcast.
I think if you do not want what you say to be heard on the podcast, let us know.
Yeah.
If you want it just for us, say something like, I would prefer this message not be said on air.
And please do not say anything more about my accent. Please. It's like we're already dressed in this podcast. But if this keeps on bringing it up, I'm going to lose it. I know, but yeah.
Guys, tell me how amazing my boring American accent is instead. I love it.
Yeah. Don't forget Katie is there as well, so also support her. Okay?
Alright. With that, we're going to say thanks to moonkitty.net for providing us with information, as well as the Sailor Moon Wiki. And for you guys, for listening, sharing, supporting us, thank you. We really, really appreciate it. This is all for you. We want to make something that you guys enjoy.
Mm-hmm. And a very special thanks to wikimoon.org to show publicly about the Bandai dolls. Because I've been searching for info about it, and I came across this website that helped me out. So thank you so much for actually providing the information for other people to find.
Alright, and with that, I think we're done.
Yep. The next podcast will be on the 3rd of December, which is for the southern people. For the northern people, it will be on the 2nd of December. So, with that, we might be doing something a bit different since it's getting close to Christmas.
Thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. We hope you enjoyed. My name is Katie. This is hellenjane. This is Moonie Thoughts. And we'll talk to you later.
Bye!
昼には花の香り、夜には星の瞬き、そこは誰も知らない世界なの。白い靴を鳴らして白い月の橋渡って甘いキスの夢を見てるお姫様が住んでいるの。祈りを捧げてる。きっと幸せにしてくれる。回れ回れ月の女